Shalom YouTube, this is a video for TattooSkin72 and Mardas the Atheist, and it's on my Jewish upbringing. And so I have a few Jewish artifacts here with me, my kippah, my book of Haftorahs and Pentachs. I'll move that forward so you can actually see it. Normally you do what I do, wear it quite far back in my head, that's traditional for me. And my Shema. Prayer shawl, rather finely embroidered one this. Usually they're quite plain, but this one was given to me by my mum on the occasion of my bar mitzvah, and it's quite splendid, I think. It's all lovely different colours of blue, which have an old story because the snail that you originally made the dye from you can't get anymore, and so yeah, you have all different shades of blue or black, or it all depends on tradition. And in answer to their questions on my upbringing as a Jew. So I'm halakhically a Jew by matrilineal descent. In pure ethnic terms, I'd only be half Jewish, a half-breed. My dad is an atheist and an Englishman and a Norfolkman as far back as probably before the Normans. And in upbringing, I was a believing and not a secular Jew. I just asked if I was a secular and Orthodox Jew. And there's a difference between being an it's the wrongly phrased as a question, because Jews don't really, it's not well known that Jews come in different denominations. I mean, a few more people are actually now aware of the difference between Reform and Orthodox, but there's also all sorts of minor variances, but they're nowhere near as, although they might be as great as, certainly actually I'd say the differences between different Jewish services are much greater than, say, the difference between a Catholic and an Anglican service. In terms of sort of competition, rivalry and history, they're nowhere near like that, and a Jew from pretty much any other tradition can walk into any other tradition synagogue and get a warm welcome and a understanding and reception. So I was a believing Orthodox Jew by upbringing. Although not amazingly orthodox. When it comes to being a secular Jew, I'm going to upload a video which I titled On Being a Secular Jew, which was really a response to Tool Time. I put it up on my old channel, but it probably needs a whole nother video in addition to that one on what I now consider being a secular Jew, and not merely why one would describe oneself as a secular Jew. That's long and complicated. So I'm now a non-practicing secular Jew. But going back to my upbringing, I don't actually recall it ever being explained that I was Jewish, or I don't recall the first time I realised that I was Jewish, or that everyone else wasn't. I don't recall that. That's just always the way it has been for me. I didn't eat pork, I didn't eat shellfish. My mum kept a kosher house, but not amazingly kosher. We didn't have a separate kitchen for meat and milk, but we never really had that much milk in the house. I recall going to various synagogues as a young person, but my mum would take us to non-kosher restaurants, which you pretty much had to do, unless you live in London and there are kosher restaurants. And we'd eat meat that wasn't slaughtered in the kosher-approved fashion, but we wouldn't eat pork, we wouldn't eat shellfish. So we kept kosher, and we kept Passover, and we celebrated the holy days, and I remember going to synagogues on holy days, and it was like that. I recall that when I went to my first school, my mum had a sit down with the headmistress, and they went through the songbook, and the headmistress said she'd take out all the songs that my mum didn't want me to sing, and they just wouldn't sing them, which was extraordinarily accommodating of them. And I had no problems singing. My mum didn't have any problems with me singing them, so it wasn't like that. And my mum, being the Jewish one in the family, is of course the major influence I have on my upbringing. And her own upbringing must have had a massive impact on mine, because my grandparents, her parents, were both refugees from World War II, and they didn't really raise her very Jewish. And so I think she wanted us to be more Jewish than she was. Most of what she taught me, she'd learned herself from synagogues over the years. Me and my little brother and my little sister, we went rather infrequently to Norwich Synagogue, to the Cheder there, which is the equivalent of a Sunday school. And that's where I got sort of my initial grounding in religious knowledge, and some might call it indoctrination. I suppose it would actually count as indoctrination, but it was going somewhere every week to be reminded that there was a God, and you were his chosen people, and he had an extra set of laws for you, and if you didn't obey them, he would kill you! That is one of the major advantages, I think, of a Jewish upbringing over if I'd been brought up Christian, is that at least no Jewish sect that I've yet to come across has anything like a permanent everlasting hell. There is no eternal damnation. The afterlife is generally rather fuzzy. The dead will one day be revived. It is about as much as I've found universal. It was when I was studying for my bar mitzvah, and this was presented to me on the occasion of my bar mitzvah, actually. Norwich Hebrew Congregation presents to Norfolk Boy, on the occasion of his bar mitzvah, the 22nd of Shian, 5762, which was the 4th of May 2002. Victor Bishop, the president then, a very nice man, and it's been immensely useful, this book. You can see my notes of all the most evil and horrible things in there. It was in studying for my bar mitzvah, which I ended up learning by rote, my portion of the Torah. I learned it off by heart. I didn't learn to read Hebrew fluently. It was studying for that and sort of the 2 years after, when I attended synagogue most regularly. For a while, I was in every Saturday I would go. I am rather gullible, and I took it all rather seriously. And that was my upbringing. I took it more and more seriously. And then we get onto my deconversion story. So I hope that sort of explains a bit where my Jewish upbringing comes from. Mardas, the other half of your question, what it's like to be a Jewish minority in a mainly Christian country, I'll do another video on it another time. So thanks very much, YouTube, and look out for the re-upload that will come just after this one. Bye!